Hi, welcome to Gabie's Knit Goodies. I am outside today, and I hope that works out sound-wise. There is a bit of wind rustling the leaves and the trees, but today was just so beautiful, and there's a slight cool of the upcoming fall in the air. So, crossing my fingers that the audio works out for this, because I just can't sit inside right now. It's too pretty. So, I'm Gabie. This is Gabie's Knit Goodies, where I talk about primarily my knitting, but I have a little bit of crochet today. And I have hand-dyed yarn at Gabie's Knit Goodies on Etsy. And then you can find some of what's going on in my knitting stuff between episodes on Instagram, also Gabie's Knit Goodies. And then I do all kinds of yarn pictures on my GKG yarn Instagram handle. I'm also on Ravelry, and I try to put up my projects every now and again on there. Not always the best about Ravelry. I do have a group on there as well. Yeah. So anyways, welcome. I am drinking some green tea today, actually. It is the afternoon, so I didn't want anything too caffeinated. But it just felt like a porch knitting and tea type of day. So, that's what I'm doing. It's still quite hot, too. So, let's talk about what I'm wearing. You may have seen this before. I have done a whole, I think, finished object video on this one. This is the Easy V sweater, and the pattern is by Caitlin Hunter of Boyland Knitworks. It's long sleeve, very wide, like V-neck sweater. Top down, yoked sweater, but she has this big, deep collar, I guess you could say, or yeah, collar that's ribbed, and it has some kind of raglan details on it, on the sides here by the shoulders, and then also the detail in the front to make it just a shallow v-neck. And it's the same thing in the back. I don't know if I'm showing that off very well. Actually, my lighting's coming from this side, so maybe I should go this way. So the front and the back are the same, I believe. Yeah, this is a worsted weight sweater, so it's fairly quick to knit, but it's perfect for me for these early fall days because the neck is so large that it's not like stifling at all. It's fairly cool, and I knit it out of 100% merino, and it's not close to the body, like it has plenty of excess room, so I think the roominess combined with the big wide open neck makes it perfect for not super cold days. Now I could probably layer this and it would work well for the cold, but yeah, I can pull up my sleeves and my neck is open and it's roomy, so yeah, it works when it's not too cold but just starting to cool off. And I was just so excited that it was cool enough to wear a sweater, a real sweater. So, yay sweater weather. The yarn, like I said, 100% merino. I did dye this myself, and I don't currently have it in the shop. If anyone is interested in these specific colors, please let me know. I am always happy to dye to order. And if you want more details about the yarn, I think I talk a little bit more about it in my previous video where I talk about the Easy V sweater. Okay, there's color work on the sleeve too. Yeah. And it feels to me like a sweatshirt alternative because of the squishiness of it, but it's not super heavy, and I don't, it's casual. At least the colors I knitted in, it feels kind of casual, so I was very excited to wear it today, if you can't tell. So, let's see, works in progress. I have a half object. Can't remember if I showed this last time or not. This is my little sock. I am not using a pattern, but it's similar to the jelly roll sock in terms of just this little cuff rolls down. I cast on 60 stitches on a size US 2 needle. And like I said, I didn't do any ribbing or anything. I just went straight into stockinette. And then I did a little ribbing right before the heel flap. However, it was unnecessary. I did it because I was afraid it would just like keep rolling, but it certainly does not. Did just the heel flap and gusset, and regular toe finishing with the Kitchener stitch there. And now I have a second sock in progress. So I've done the top and I'm working on the heel flap. Yeah. So I'm now picking up stitches. I've picked up stitches on this side, and I just have to pick them up on the other side and then reduce it, do that gusset. And I'm using 9-inch Chalgoos in the US 2 size. And I have this much yarn left, which is not enough. Definitely not enough. And I knew that going into this. This was a scrap yarn that I had. I had a decent amount of it, I guess, because I got a whole sock out of it, and then at least the cuffs will be matching. I actually might try to dye something kind of similar to it. I kind of like a gray base with some bright pops of color. It definitely won't be identical by any means, but something a little similar. Yeah. So that's fun. This is like my purse knitting, and I volunteer at our youth group for our church, and I had a hoodie on last night, and so I had my knitting in my hoodie pocket. And so if there was ever a time where I was sitting around and I didn't have to like do anything, I was just listening to like somebody else talk, like a speaker type person talk, I could just take it out of my hoodie pocket and start working on it. I love that. Always gotta have a small project for that. Next one I won't talk much about because I feel like I've talked a good amount about it. And I'm in the middle of a row, as always. The rows are really long right now. Half and half triangles wrap. Believe it or not, this is the smaller of the two sizes. This is the big size, not the bigger size. But as I am knitting it and getting closer to the end, I think it will be big enough. I mean, it's pretty big. It works as like a little throw. But I think it'll work well. It's something cozy to put on, and I think the colors, for me, the colors will go with a lot of what I wear. It is fingering weight. The pattern's by Purl Soho. It is a free pattern, and I used about 150 grams of my fingering weight yarn per colorway. It says Flowers and Dirt in the pinky one here, sort of pinky. And then this is Dark and Stormy, which I'm currently dyeing this up today on DK weight, which I have some plans for that for myself, as well as putting some in the shop. They both have a little bit of brown in them, and they both have a little bit of blue in them, so they coordinate really well. And I can show you, I'm only like a dozen rows, maybe I can show you, left to finish. So, just this many rows. Yeah. But they're the longest rows. This is how much yarn I have left currently of my second skein of Dark and Stormy. So, it is a huge amount. Like I said, I'm using 150 grams at most of each colorway. Put that back in my bag. I have projects in like every bag I own. Just in case I happen to pick up a different bag, you know, I want to make sure that I have something to work on. I mean, you never know when you'll get 5 minutes to sit. Or longer. And people that know me by now know that I'm paying attention. Like Sunday school class. I knit during Sunday school class usually. I bring something mindless like the half and half triangles wrap. Or like the socks when I'm not working on the heel. And I knit. And I try to take notes so that the teacher knows that I'm paying attention. And I also try to respond or ask questions so that they know I'm paying attention. Alright, so this next one is very exciting because I am not on Sleeve Island. I'm on the second sleeve of the Cardi V-neck by Anne Vinzel. And it has that really pretty neckline here that I feel like is kind of in, as opposed to just like a crew neck or a regular V-neck. It has that little crossover. It has all over beautiful texture, which is definitely easy to memorize. And I got a whole sleeve. Check that out. And these sleeves have a lot of stitches on them. But it felt so much shorter to do these sleeves than it did to do the body, I have to say. And I think I love it all over again with the sleeve on it. It totally makes it work. This sweater definitely doesn't work as a sleeveless one, at least in my opinion. Maybe if it was done small. I am knitting the size 3, I believe it is. I think it's the 3rd size in the pattern. She only has, I think she only has 5 sizes, and I tried to knit one that was plenty roomy because I like roomy sweaters. I used to not do that. I used to try to knit like my size. If I was borderline, I would go down a size because I wasn't as fast or as dedicated of a knitter. And I thought, what difference does it make? And it uses less yarn and I get it finished quicker if it's smaller. But now I've realized I really just wear the ones that are a little more oversized rather than the ones that are like fitted. So it really, it pays off in the end if I go ahead and either knit my size or up a size and choose patterns that are meant to be a little roomier. Anyways, it's beautiful and I love it in all of its creamy glory. The yarn is fingering weight merino nylon held with kid mohair and silk. I do sell both of these in my shop, but you can get it anywhere. I know Rowan has a kid mohair silk, and Shibui has a kid mohair silk, and it's just like a natural buttercream colorway for the mohair. Very excited. And like I said, I am on the second sleeve. I've already picked up my stitches, which is like the part I like the least by far. I hate picking up stitches on like a sleeve because you're picking them up on along the rows, and so it's not like a 1-for-1 ratio. Like you pick up 1 stitch per like little purl bump or something on the edge. So it's a bit of a pain because sometimes I'll get to like the end of where I should be and I should have like, 50 stitches and I have 40 stitches, but I can't add 10 stitches right there, in a tiny little spot, because then it'll just be, bulky in one area or bunched in one area and not in the other. So you take them all out again and spread out those extra stitches along it. One day maybe I'll get a little better at that. I think I was slightly better at it this time than I was on the first sleeve. I had to rip it out like 3 times on the first sleeve. I know there's probably all kinds of tips and tricks for that. Like maybe if I had to pick up like 50 stitches along here, which is not quite the right number by the way, you know, I could put stitch markers maybe halfway through to know like that's 25 or something, and then at least I'd only have like 25 to rip out and readjust rather than the whole 50. That would be smart. You guys be smart. Maybe next time I will be too. So I'm enjoying this, believe it or not. They are size 8 knitting needles. So though you're working with kind of fine yarn, these held together, it creates a very lightweight, fluffy garment that I think will also be quite warm. So, loving it. I think I'm loving it even more now because I can see the finish line. Like, there's light at the end of the tunnel. It's almost there. And with the weather changing, when it does get finished, I can totally wear it. So, I'm happy. Alright, last item on the show and tell list here is a crochet project. I am teaching a crochet class it's crochet and knitting right now. We're in crochet. I have a middle school class and then an adult / high school class. And we are finishing up our first unit on crochet. And I taught them how to crochet squares, and then depending on how many they've done, they can make a bag, whether it be small or really big. So that has inspired me to do one as well. And I think it's Alexandra Tavel, something like that. Two of Wands is her like website and company name. And she does a ton of patterns, both knitting and crochet, and a lot of them are beginner friendly. But she inspired me. She was one of the reasons that I decided to do the squares, because she has 2 now bag patterns that utilize 13 squares all seamed together, and they're really cute. So I have started, the kids in the class are doing like just plain squares, but I've started one of her bag patterns, and I forget what it's called. I will put it here, and then links to all the patterns I mentioned will also be below. But here's my square, one of my squares. You can see that. And it's kind of like a little flower in the center. She has blue around the outside and a similar color in the middle. I think hers might be a little more dull, or a little more on the tan side than the yellow side. But it's really cute. I do have to make 13, and I'm not 100% sure if I have enough yarn, but I will see. I currently have 3. Isn't it cute? So, I think it'd be really cute once it's done. You assemble them kind of in a diamond shape when you do it. Like I said, I'm supposed to have 13. I don't know if I will get all 13 made, and it will be a very large bag if I have 13, which would be fine. It could be like a market bag or something. But with my class, I have done some assembly instructions for if you have like only 3 squares, or if you have 5 or 7 squares, in addition to the 13 square assembly. And because they're done at a diamond, it's just a little more interesting than if you just do them, you know, as a square bag. At least I think it is. So, if I don't have enough yarn or don't feel like it, I might do fewer squares and still get a cute bag out of it. All right. I think that is all I have for today. I I hope you guys are enjoying the weather wherever you are, whether it be still summer weather or fall or approaching winter coldness. I love the fall, and I love it when the air starts to get cool and I can wear all of my sweaters and knit and layer up. It's my favorite. So I hope you guys have a good week and have lots of time to craft.